Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online series 10 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. For the next team that we're going to feature on Road to Ranked, this team has so many fun Pokemon. We're going to be using a Calyrex Shadow Rider team, but it features a lot of fun sets like Helping Hand, Mystic Water Urshifu, Encore Whimsicott, Psychic Seed, Shadow Ball, Psyshock Tapu Lele, Assault Vest Entei, and Sitrus Berry Ditto. This team was built by a player called Inosh. You may recognize him. I've talked about him actually in that kind of tournament results video a couple of days ago, and him and Adi did a really great, insightful video on the team. So check that breakdown out in the description below, as well as a rental and a pace courtesy of Inosh. But yeah, the idea behind the team is that you have Calyrex Shadow Rider, right? This is one of the strongest restricted Pokemon, one of the fastest restricted Pokemon in the format, and it's enabled by Tapu Lele and Whimsicott. However, as you may notice, Calyrex struggles against certain Pokemon, especially Dark-type Pokemon. So that's where Pokemon like Urshifu, Lele, and Entei are all really, really relevant. In order for Calyrex to really thrive, you need to knock out your opponent's Dark-type Pokemon, because even a single Dark-type attack, even like a Darkest Lariat from Incineroar, for example, can KO you, right? So the rest of the team is really designed to enable Calyrex for these late-game sweeps. Whimsicott's pretty standard. The main thing to call out here is Encore. That's really helpful because Whimsicott plus Entei specifically is very good into most of the Xerneas setups, right? If they lead Fake Out plus Xerneas and they just go Fake Out Geomancy, well, then you can just Encore their Xerneas the subsequent turn. If they lead Volcarona plus Xerneas, Whimsicott can ignore Rage Powder from the Xerneas and can just Encore, and Entei can also Stone Edge Volcarona. So I talked about this a little bit yesterday because I actually ran it into on the ladder, but AV Entei with Stone Edge plus Whimsicott is actually pretty common right now to beat a lot of the Xerneas setups, and we just use Xerneas, right? So that's one lead to watch out for. Otherwise, Lele here is pretty standard. Shadow Ball is very helpful, specifically into opposing Calyrexes, and you also have the Psychic Seed for a little bit more bulk. No need for something like a Scarf. Life Orb is obviously committed on Calyrex, and Sash is committed on Whimsicott. Urshifu on this team, pretty standard, but it does have the Helping Hand, so that can increase your damage output. Really helpful, especially with Calyrex just being able to spam attacks. Calyrex here, pretty standard as well with the Substitute. You'll notice Entei has both Stone Edge and Stomping Tantrum. That's really important because beating Incineroar is going to be a really key point in this team, because Incineroar alone just does really well into Whimsicott and Calyrex, so you have to really be careful about it. And then finally, Ditto. So Ditto is such an interesting Pokemon because obviously it can copy anything on your opponent's team, but it's not a Pokemon that you can lead very easily, and you have to be very careful about how you bring it out. However, this is a Sitrus Berry bulky Ditto, unlike some of the more fast-paced offensive variants that you might sometimes see with Ditto in terms of EV spread and like Choice Scarf, for example. What this allows you to do is basically copy another restricted Pokemon, or really any Pokemon, and copying anything is actually really valuable. Like Incineroar is so common in the metagame, and so Ditto often can switch in, copy Incineroar, get an Intimidate off, and of course you can copy opposing restricted Pokemon. That just gives you another restricted Pokemon to play with, and with the bulk and the Sitrus Berry, the Ditto often will actually outlast your opponent's restricted Pokemon because it basically has more bulk on it. And so there are so many fun components to this team. I know, we see so many Incineroars, Rillabooms, Anilekis, and those are all staples of the team, and it's cool to see this team not have any of those basically, and I think it functions really, really nicely. So shout outs to Inosh for the team. Once again, details in the description below. Thanks so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please share support by leaving a like. And question of the day: I want to know what Pokemon you think people are sleeping on at the moment. For me, honestly, Ditto is one of them. Like I talked about it a little bit before, but this thing is really impressive, especially when piloted correctly. So hopefully we can get it out in some games today. But let's get started. All right, getting into our first game of the day, and it's actually up against a Groudon team. So this is really cool because we continue to go up against brand new restricted Pokemon. My laptop fan is running a little bit loud right now just because it is rather hot in my place, and I was previously trying to record and found that my laptop was overheating a little bit. So sorry if you hear some background noise, but yeah, it was just causing some really bad lag issues. So, Lele, what do I want to go with here? Entei is actually really intriguing because of AV and Sacred Fire and Sun. So I almost like Whimsicott, Entei. Okay, but if I'm going Whimsicott, Entei, I really want to bring Ditto in this game. Because if we can copy their Groudon, that's really sick. That would mean dropping one of Lele. Or Entei. Or I guess Whimsicott, but I want to match their Tailwind ideally. Maybe we drop Entei then. I could go Whimsicott Lele here. This means you can't click Fake Out against me because I have full terrain control. And then Ditto plus Calyrex. Okay, I think I really like that here, honestly. So let's give it a shot. Heliolisk on their team is really interesting. Urshifu on our end is okay, but into Groudon I'm not the biggest fan of, and they have a Venusaur as well as Heliolisk, so I don't think we probably want to bring that. So this should be an interesting one, but I think Ditto can actually put in a ton of work in this game, especially if we eliminate Venusaur. Maybe they don't even bring Venusaur. They're going to go Whimsicott Groudon, which I'm okay with. What do I want to do in this position? I guess the only downside of leading this way is that I can't Encore them anymore by setting up Psychic Terrain, but that's fine. Okay, so I think here we probably want to just match Tailwinds. Good to confirm that I'm faster than the Groudon with Psychic Terrain going off first. My only fear is if their Whimsicott has Trick Room. Yeah, I think because, like, I can stagger my Tailwind by a turn here, I think. So I'm down to just Moonblast the Whimsicott and Psyshock it. Because I'm very nervous about Whimsicott actually having Trick Room here and me Tailwinding into a Trick Room. But they just Tailwind, which is fine, right? Like, I can just click Tailwind the subsequent turn because you're not going to KO Whimsicott unless you, like... they just go for Heat Crash. Okay. Does that one-shot us? Ooh, it does. Okay. That's not amazing. That is definitely not amazing. Now it's fine because I get to bring in Groudon and I can just click Tailwind, Ditto. So I can just click Tailwind of my own, and now we've copied their restricted Pokemon and we still have a Calyrex Shadow Rider and we've staggered their Tailwind by a turn. But I was not expecting Lele to get one shot there, to be honest. Heat Crash is the more common option on Groudon now, it seems like. So will also give us some insight into their moveset, but I'm down to just click Tailwind here. Precipice Blades, Heat Crash. Yeah, okay. The question here is whether or not it's actually worth it to Heat Crash Whimsicott, because, like, yeah, Precipice Blades probably doesn't KO Whimsicott, but do I really want to knock it out right now? I don't think so. I'm down to just Tailwind and Precipice Blades here for damage on a Groudon. So this was the upside of me Tailwinding one turn later. I have an extra turn of Tailwind to work with now in this game. They're going to go for a Moonblast onto Groudon. That's fine. And the Precipice Blades of their own. Okay. Okay. I mean, we have the Sitrus, so we're going to heal up, but... do we feint to another Precipice Blades? I think we do survive, honestly. It's the potential speed tie between the Whimsicotts that I'm worried about here. I think I am down to just Moonblast here and protect my Ditto. Because if you target Whimsicott and you KO it, that's fine. I get a free switch into Calyrex, and I can just click the Expanding Force. Looks like we won the speed tie anyway. Okay. So I probably could have just attacked with Groudon here. I mean, honestly, if I attacked here and we hit, we wouldn't knock out Groudon anyway. Never mind. So I'm fine with this. The main thing I have to watch out for is their last Pokemon being the Incineroar, right? Because Incineroar is going to wall my Calyrex Shadow Rider. So I need to conserve the Groudon. Not sure I can do that, actually. So let's see if they bring in Incineroar first and foremost. It's going to be Venusaur. Okay. So my Calyrex is in a really nice spot for this late game. There's still 2 turns of Tailwind left. I think what I do here... how many turns of Psychic Terrain are left? 2 as well. And 2 turns of Sun. But they have 1 turn of Tailwind left. So what I can do here is protect the Whimsicott. I'll Heat Crush here even though I expect the Venusaur to faint. Or sorry, the Groudon / Ditto to faint. But then I get the free switch into Calyrex. So then it's a question of whether or not you have Protect on your Venusaur. Okay, they're going to go for Solar Beam. That's fine. Unfortunately, it's going to knock out Ditto, but that's okay. Okay. Yeah, I just, I really wasn't expecting Heat Crush to get the one-hit KO, and I should have. Like, it's just not an interaction I've seen. Okay, they're Life Orb Venusaur. So now the main thing is you should double Protect, right, with both of your Pokemon, but the question is whether or not you actually have Protect. And even if you don't, the thing is I can Moonblast plus Astral Barrage Groudon next turn. So we've set ourselves up for this like late game Calyrex Shadow Rider sweep. It's just whether or not we can actually pull the sweep off. Unnerve is nice here as well, in case they're like Sitrus Groudon or just any Berry Groudon. Just double checking. They can't control the terrain. Now the problem is Incineroar is their last one. They could actually still very easily win this one. But I am just going to go for Moonblast here onto... I want to target Venusaur here because I could see it switching out into... like, I think Expanding Force here... would it KO Groudon? I'm not 100% sure, honestly. I just want to cover for Venusaur switching out into Incineroar. I do have Sub, but... Okay, I'm just going Moonblast Expanding Force here. See if they switch out. They don't switch or protect either Pokemon. Wow, what? And that's a double KO with Expanding Force. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. My suspicion was that maybe Venusaur didn't have Protect. Like, actually, I don't know. I'd be really surprised. Like, maybe they just forgot that we had another turn of Tailwind as well. And so we staggered them by one turn. That's honestly my best guess for what just happened there. Because they obviously had Protect on Groudon, and I see very little... Well, no. There is a reason to not Protect Groudon there, especially if you're anticipating the Calyrex to go for, say, like Substitute. But I'm always clicking Expanding Force there. Okay, and their last one's Heliolisk. Perfect. So this should secure us the game. So you can see how, like, Calyrex, all you need is one big turn with it, right? And that can just win you the game. Just double checking the field state. I'm just going to click Tailwind here to be safe. And Expanding Force. I see little downside to that. Okay. And it's probably Focus Sash on this thing, right? But I don't think you can pick up a double knockout right now. Your win con would be Discharge, Para into Calyrex, and then full Para next turn with Focus Sash. But they're not even Sash, so Calyrex Shadow Rider gets 3 KOs in a row and just secures us the game. So given that they didn't have Incineroar in the back, I think we had this, we were in pretty good shape. They had to Protect Groudon that turn, but if they didn't have Protect with Venusaur, we would have just gotten a special attack boost anyway. I guess the only weird thing is then we have to click Expanding Force rather than Astro Barrage, but Heliolisk in the back made the game a lot easier. So Ditto was pretty nice, right? It gave us a second restricted Pokemon, gave us some extra damage with that Precipice Blades. I could have gone for the Heat Crash onto the Whimsicott that turn, but I really wanted damage onto Groudon, on my opponent's Groudon, because I basically wanted to set up my Calyrex Shadow Rider for a sweep, and that's basically what happened. So yeah, that was a really fun first game, and I'm glad to bring out the Ditto, so let's just go into another one. Second match of the day, what do we got here? Another Groudon team. This one is actually one that I was planning on featuring. It was built by, who was it built by? I'm blanking out on the creator, but this team was also featured on Audie's channel. So yeah, you should definitely check it out. And it's really interesting, because it's, I think, Swords Dance Groudon, and then you've got the Driflbim, which is not a Pokemon you see very frequently, obviously. And gets access to Unburden. I think Calyrex is really good for us. I love Ditto once again. Didn't expect to go into 2 Groudon teams in a row, so that's pretty interesting. I could definitely see them going Rillaboom plus the Drifblim. If you go Rillaboom, Drifblim, I could just go... I don't remember if the Rillaboom had knockoff, I guess, is the main problem for us here. So I actually kind of like Entei as a lead. The same problem with Entei, though, is, yeah, how do I set myself up? Like, maybe I actually don't bring Lele then? Expanding Force is just so much damage. But, like, I'm thinking we go Whimsicott, Entei, Ditto plus Calyrex. I'm going to try that out. I think, obviously, Lele is very good for us in this game. But it has a little bit less utility because my opponent doesn't have as many special attackers. I don't know. Like, I really wanted to go Whimsicott, Lele. My fear with that is the Rillaboom, Drifblim lead with Groudon in the back. So with Whimsicott Entei, it's like if we can eliminate the Rillaboom immediately, that paves the way for me to copy their Groudon. It's going to be Incineroar Drifblim. Okay, I'm okay with that. I wonder if Stone Edge one-shots Drifblim. That's the main thing. But like we can obviously match their Tailwind right now, which is very good, and I think Entei is also just in really good shape into my opponent's team in general. So turn 1, I think I'm willing to just go for a Stone Edge onto Drifblim. If we crit, and honestly, it might just KO. I could see Incin hard switching out into Rillaboom or just clicking Fake Out into Whimsicott. I guess you could even just Flare Blitz Whimsicott here, but I think protecting with Whimsicott's always fine in this position. If they click Tailwind, we get to stagger our Tailwind by a turn, which is nice. We don't need Tailwind on this first turn. I also have the potential to Encore Drifblim in subsequent turns, and it conserves Focus Sash from a potential Fake Out. So I think Protect is just a must on Whimsicott, even if you're... I wouldn't say an absolute must, but it is just a really good move, honestly. So yeah, if we crit Stone Edge on Drifblim and he picks up the KO here, we're in really good shape. Even if not, though, I still really like our position. Stone Edge connects, which is really nice. And no crit there. So they're probably going to Tailwind. Okay. Like, the thing is, I'm fine with this, right? I can just match your Tailwind and KO your Drifblim right now. I'm fine to just click Sacred Fire here. I guess the main thing is the Sacred Fire actually KO. What's the difference in damage? Stone Edge, super effective, 200. Sacred Fire, 150 with the same type attack bonus. It's pretty close. It's just like I want to see if I can get away with staggering another turn of Tailwind here. I would think Incineroar parting shots right now, but maybe they Flare Blitz. Okay, I'm just going to Sacred Fire Driflbim. Nah, I should just play it safe and Tailwind. The reason why I should Tailwind there is also because if I don't Tailwind, then they potentially outspeed my Entei. And maybe they just double up on Whimsicott for a KO. Let's see if this picks up the KO. Nice. Okay, not bad. Now, Incineroar is obviously still a problem for us because it walls Calyrex pretty well. But they're going to opt for Parting Shot here onto Entei, which is fine by me. Maybe you get the Groudon out now. But Ditto's very useful for us here because we can copy either the Incineroar or the Groudon, and that amount of utility is very good for us. I think surely Groudon comes out right now. Also, if we get a Sacred Fire burn onto Groudon, it's probably just game over. It's so difficult to come back from that. Although I shouldn't say that because in this matchup specifically, I struggle pretty heavily against their Groudon. One thing that's actually really neat here for us is like they had to switch it into that slot, right? Because of Parting Shot, meaning that my Whimsicott, if I switch out into Ditto, can just copy the Groudon guaranteed. So I'm curious if they bring Incineroar back out for Fake Out. They do. Now, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the Groudon on my opponent's team has the Swords Dance. So the thing is, I could switch Entei out into Ditto, get an Intimidate. But if you Swords Dance, things can get a little bit ugly. Now, I do have a switch it into Calyrex as well. To which then I could Fake Out Sub. That's interesting. Maybe they just Fake Out Precipice Blades here, but I really do want to respect the Swords Dance. Oh, but we have Encore on this thing, so if you Swords Dance, I actually don't need to be that worried about it, do I? Okay. So I'm actually down to swap out here and Protect. The reason being is if you Swords Dance, well, I can just Fake Out Encore you next turn. And that puts us in really good shape. I'm not sure if this was the absolute best play. I think there were a lot of different lines of plays we could have taken here. Okay. Copying Intimidate, very nice for us here. Who needs an Incineroar on your team when you have a Ditto, which is every Pokemon in the game? I'd love to see Swords Dance. I'm fine if they click Precipice Blades here as well, honestly, because like I've just intimidated you. They go for Fake Out into the Whim slot. Yep. And they Heat Crash. Okay, that actually plays out even better for us. Nice. I'll take that. So let's see. 2 turns of Tailwind, 3 turns of Sun. It is pretty free for me to click Fake Out into Groudon right now. And then switch my Whimsicott out into Entei. I think I'm down for that. Yep. Now, you can see, though, with the play last turn, I could have just protected Whimsicott, click Sacred Fire, but I don't think it's worth it at this point in the match, right? Like, we have the numbers advantage and the Tailwind advantage. Entei's just really critical for us damage-wise here, so maybe, I don't know about, like, Groudon protecting here makes sense. Yeah, we could have faked out into Entei. But I don't want to give Groudon an opportunity to get any damage off. So, I'm still fine launching Fake Out into the slot. Maybe it's Parting Shot into Entei here. Okay, it is going to be Parting Shot, but into Incineroar. Alright, I'm fine with that. Because the thing is, now I have a full power Sacred Fire into your Entei slot. Or sorry, not your Entei, your Groudon. So my big question is what my opponent's last one is. I would think Rillaboom, given that they left Driflbim, but maybe they were just comfortable with Driflbim anyway. It is Rillaboom. Okay, that's perfect, because you... I mean, Rillaboom is obviously not very good into us. Groudon's intimidated right now, so I would think the Groudon would maybe want to switch out. Tailwind Peter's out, so that's perfect for us as well. I think one of these two Pokemon are surely switching out this turn. So I think I'm content just going for Flare Blitz and Sacred Fire in this position. Yeah, like if you switch Groudon out, then I just KO your Rillaboom and suddenly it's 2v4. And if you switch Groudon, if you switch the Rillaboom out, okay, yeah, it's going to be Groudon. I guess I could actually click Fake Out here into the Incineroar slot, so I think maybe doubling up onto Rillaboom is actually a little bit better there, but that's fine. The reality is right now, the Entei is in such a good spot because neither of my opponent's Fake Out users do anything, which is why like Entei is a really nice pick in the format. Interesting that they don't go for Fake Out there. Okay, so we'll get a Flare Blitz off into the Rillaboom. Not sure if that's actually going to be enough to KO, but of course, It's going to do a ton of damage regardless. Okay, it does not actually pick up the KO, but that's fine. U-turn would be really interesting here if they have it. Yep. Okay, so they do pivot and get their Groudon in safely, which is a nice turn by them. I think the better play there was to Sacred Fire the Rillaboom slot, Parting Shot Groudon, but there was like a very small chance Groudon stayed in there and clicked either Swords Dance or Precipice Blades, which I didn't want to deal with. Okay, that was a really nice turn by them. Okay. Tailwind Peter's out. -2 attack. Them clicking Precipice Blades here feels pretty likely, like fake out Precipice Blades. I'm down to switch Ditto out into Whimsicott right now, because I can just copy Tailwind. I mean, I can Tailwind and then go from there. The question here is what I actually want to do with Entei. Because, like I said, my damage output against Incineroar is actually pretty lacking. So I actually feel like Stomping might be a little bit better here. It's just, going for Sacred Fire is so tempting on Groudon to try to fish for a burn. You know what? I think it's fine to Sacred Fire Groudon, because if I'm going to copy the Incineroar with my Ditto, then I'll just get Precipice Blades off. Maybe they fake out Heat Crash here to get the KO onto Whimsicott, but then my Entei sticks around for longer, which is nice. And like I said, Sacred Fire gives us a burn chance as well. That's really good damage too. And we get the burn. Nice. That should just seal up the game for us. They didn't click Fake Out there with Groudon, or sorry, with Incin, by the way, which I think is a nice play on their end. So maybe it's a Flare Blitz. No, they actually opted for Parting Shot. Okay. Then, honestly, I think even without the burn, we were in pretty good shape. But with the burn, we should just win the game. So that's why, like, that was a risk I was willing to take, because we were already ahead in this match anyway. But obviously a lucky turn for us there. I think the main turn I botched was, yeah, just expecting to KO the Rillaboom earlier. That was kind of silly on my end. Either way, you can see how much utility Ditto gives us. It is such a fun Pokemon to use. So let's see. At this point, you can't click Fake Out once again into the Entei. We can just protect safely with Whimsicott. We still have Calyrex in the back, and we're at this point, Astral Barrage will do a ton of damage to everything. It's just the instant we need to chip away a little bit more. 2 turns of Grassy Terrain, -1 attack. I don't feel the need to copy with Ditto right now, so I'm just gonna double. Well, I can't protect with Entei here. I'm just gonna protect and Sacred Fire into Rillaboom. Maybe you switch Rillaboom out into Incin, but then I chip away at the Incin more, and that enables the Calyrex a little bit more. They are gonna pull the switch, but I'm fine with that. I do think that's the correct play though, so nicely done to identify that. I was thinking about clicking Stomping. You know what's actually the best there? Probably just clicking Stone Edge. Like, we do risk a miss, but Rillaboom surviving is not a problem for us at all in that position. Okay, so we're going to protect with Whimsicott. Get the smallest amount of chip with Sacred Fire. Yeah, Stone Edge would have been a better play there. And they Precipice Blades, that's fine. Okay, it's going to connect on the Entei here. See, this is the problem with Calyrex Shadow Rider, though, with Substitute, right? I'm really struggling to... Like, I have to beat the Incineroar before I can really bring Calyrex out. So I think risk versus reward-wise, it's always better to click Stone Edge that last turn. And me playing safely might actually cost me a little bit here, which I don't love. If I bring out Ditto, I get to copy them again. The main thing is I want to use Ditto to copy the Groudon. Okay, so I think I'm down to bring out Calyrex right now. Ooh, we do cancel, their berry with Calyrex here, which is really nice. So I think here I'd like to... the problem is them having Rillaboom in the back as well. I wonder if Moonblast just KOs Groudon from this range. It's pretty close. I think we might miss out on the KO, though. Okay, I'm actually going to go for Tailwind and Protect here, then. Yeah, and if they end up surviving, then my Groudon just comes in, and then my Ditto comes in and then copies their Groudon. And then we have Groudon plus Calyrex, to which then I could just click Precipice Blades and substitute. Oh, they actually protect their Groudon. Okay. But now I can copy your Groudon. This is actually still so dicey, depending on... Okay, it's just Snarl. That's actually a really big piece of information, because that means you aren't going to KO my Calyrex. The big question here is whether or not I had Darkest Lariat or Throat Chop, but because it doesn't seem to have either, this should put us in a very good position. Okay. Now the main thing is I can copy the Groudon, but the thing is Rillaboom is just going to come out and then threaten me with Grassy Glide, which I don't love. So the alternative here, honestly, is to just Moonblast into the Incineroar and Astral Barrage. Yeah, I'm down for that. Astral Barrage will KO Groudon. I think you need to go for a double protect with Groudon right now if you're my opponent. But even if they get it, Snarl isn't going to KO us anyway. So, yeah, this whole time I wanted to assume that Incineroar had a Dark-type attack like it one-shot us, but because it doesn't, that's really, really good for us. But you can see why Calyrex Shadow Rider can be kind of a difficult restricted Pokemon to execute, because I had to play so meticulously around Incineroar having a Dark-type attack like it one-shot us. Okay, they don't go for the double, which is fantastic for us. I don't think this double up's going to pick up the KO. Is that AV Incineroar? I think it has to be, right? Based off how little we did there. Okay, so we'll get a special attack boost. Get Moonblast off as well. Pretty sure that's AV. That's gotta be. They click Snarl. See, the problem now is that Grassy Glide can KO our Calyrex. So what we might want to do is actually switch out Calyrex into the Ditto to copy Incineroar. Yeah, I think that's actually absolutely the play we go for right now. And then we just protect the Whimsicott. This was a really intense game. And honestly, if we didn't get that burn, like, I don't know, like maybe... Well, the main thing I messed up in this game was not Stone Edging the Rillaboom when it was out. Like, that was a really safe play to make. And it would have given us so much momentum, and it was so low risk as well. So that's the main misplay I made in this game, I'd say. Either way, this is a fairly obvious play for me to make, but I'm still just going to make it. There's very little downside. This is getting really scary, though, because all of our Pokemon are relatively low HP. We don't have the Sitrus on the Ditto as well. So you can see how sometimes like a missed opportunity can make the game so much harder for you. Had we just clicked Stone Edge and hit it on the instant switch in, Incineroar would have just fainted at this point in the game. So that was me just playing a little bit too safe and not fully utilizing kind of the tools that I had. But this Incineroar is very the Ditto has mainly defense EVs. So my opponent should be lacking in damage output right now. Okay. They're going to fake out. We can also do some fun stuff with Parting Shot and then instant copying things over and over again. They just Flare Blitz. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's good. What do I want to do now? One more turn of Tailwind, so we outspeed. So I can just Flare Blitz Rillaboom right now. Okay, I'm down to just Moonblast the Incineroar here, Flare Blitz into the Rillaboom slot. Now that we've intimidated Rillaboom, Calyrex shouldn't get one shot by it. So I think I'm down for that. Nice, and they don't protect Rillaboom. Okay, sweet. So Flare Blitz should get the knockout there. Moonblast is just going to do the smallest amount of chip damage. But at this point, our Incineroar should outlast their Incineroar. And we still have a Calyrex, which can just click Astral Barrage, and it's not going to do the most amount of damage, but still going to be enough to, finish off the game. Plus, if their Incineroar wants to actually get a KO onto Whimsicott, you have to Flare Blitz, meaning you take more recoil damage as well. And they click Snarl. Okay, probably expecting me to switch out into Calyrex, but had very little incentive to do that at this point in the game. Either way, this game would have been a lot easier if I just made the Stone Edge read, and it was bad on me to just play safe and click Sacred Fire there, just because like Rillaboom being around in that position didn't mean very much for my opponent. So I could have made this game a lot easier for me, and we obviously got the burn onto the Groudon, which drastically made the game easier. Like, after I got the burn, I felt like the game was basically guaranteed wrap, but they played really well to keep themselves in it. And honestly, if we didn't get the burn there because I didn't make the Stone Edge play, this endgame would have been a lot more difficult to execute. So I'm not the biggest fan of how I played it. I'm just going to stay in right now with the Incineroar. I don't see any upside to switching out. Like, we just, Moonblast, Flare Blitz. Like, the one thing we don't want to do is choke in that position. So Moonblast, Flare Blitz, wait for the free switch into Calyrex. We know it's AV Incin at that point, so then an Astral Barrage would just finish off the Incineroar. But that was a really, really intense game, and I think it's fun because we played 3 episodes so far, Road to Ranked, and each one we've gone up against different restricted Pokemon. In this one, 2 Groudons in a row, which I certainly wasn't expecting. So yeah, let's just go for another one. Third game here, and we got Kyogre, but there's also Tyranitar, Dracozolt, and Umbreon. A lot of cool stuff here. I bet Umbreon's used really, especially in the Groudon matchup, but okay. How do I approach this one? Entei is definitely not it. The only reason really to bring it would be Stone Edge. Calyrex is okay, but it really struggles against both of my opponent's Dark types. Do we need to bring Tailwind here? Now, Urshifu does have Helping Hand. I just love the idea of Ditto copying things, but I'm not sure Ditto copying anything here is actually that valuable for us. I just like, I love Tailwind with Whimsicott. It's so nice. Just don't know if we actually need it, but it does ensure that our Urshifu outspeeds everything. Plus, if we don't Tailwind, Tyranitar plus Dracozolt might be a really big issue. This one's tricky. I just really want to bring Ditto. That's the main thing. But I do think I think I'm gonna play it safe here. I'm gonna go Whimsicott, Lele, Calyrex, Urshifu. So the main thing is if they didn't have Dracozolt, I'd probably be more willing to drop Whimsicott and not bring it into the game. But because they have Dracozolt, if I don't bring Tailwind, Dracozolt plus Tyranitar might just sweep through me. So I need to match that means of speed control. So it's like, okay, if they do bring Dracozolt, great. Even if they don't, like, at least I had an answer to it. So that's number 1. 2, with Ditto, yeah, I can copy some fun stuff here, and that does look like Zolt in T-Tar. Yep, this is perfect. That's actually very good for us. Okay. So they're not Scarf Tyranitar. Psychic Search goes off before their Sand. I'm just curious about how fast the Dracozolt is. Like, do you outspeed Lele? Because we're modest, we're not timid. Zolt's speed tier is right around there, so if they're Jolly max speed, I fear them one-shotting us. I think I'm willing to just Tailwind here, honestly, and just Moonblast into Zolt. If we're faster, excellent. Even if they one-shot us with Zolt, you can knock out both Pokemon, meaning that I would get a Moonblast off the subsequent turn with Whimsicott. Now, the main thing is that Tyranitar is a really big issue for us. Lele is faster, though. That's fantastic. Okay. I don't know if this one-shots, though, and they might be Assault-vested as well. This is exactly why I had to lead this. And so I am glad, because honestly, if I didn't lead this, I think I might have just lost the game. Zolt is just so strong otherwise. They're going to freeze us. That's fine. We faint from Sand anyway. Although, yeah, it would have been really frustrating if we hung on and got frozen. That would be the worst case, because it's like, I'm fine fainting here, because this is even better for us, right? I just get a free switch in right now. Their restricted Pokemon is Kyogre. That's not scary at all, especially with Urshifu here. So we're in amazing shape right now, I think. That was the best possible way turn 1 could have played out, where Lele doesn't take any damage, and you gave me a free switch in under Tailwind. And that's Kyogre coming in. That's even better. Perfect. Okay, beautiful. So we have Tailwind up now. We have the speed advantage. We still got Calyrex in the back. Here, Surging Strikes into Tyranitar is very safe. I mean, Tyranitar is going to switch into one of Amoonguss or the Umbreon. I think it's probably better to just go for a attack onto Kyogre so that Water Spout doesn't one-shot us. Although, actually, if we just get a KO on whatever comes in right now, that probably just wins us the game. Because then I just one-shot your Tyranitar, and then my Calyrex can handle you. I'm down to split my damage here. I'm just gonna Surging Strikes T-Tar, Moonblast. Oh, they stay in with T-Tar. Perfect. That's really big, because you just gave up what's probably your best, and we get a special attack drop. Everything's going right for us in this game. That's why I Moonblasted over Psyshocking, by the way. Like, Moonblast's chance of decreasing your opponent's special attack is actually pretty good, so it's like, if we get it. Both in that last game and this game, like, I went for moves that could potentially give us status condition, or not status conditions, like the side effect of RNG, because 1, it is just one of our strongest options, and 2, it's like, we're in a position where we're already ahead, and we can just basically secure the game if we get a little bit lucky. So, like, now Origin Pulse does nothing into either of these Pokemon. Wow. That's... Yeah, it's definitely not every day you see a Kyogre do that little damage. Their last one is going to be the Umbreon. Yep. That makes sense. That's their best answer in a Calyrex Shadow Rider. But at this point, I'm willing to just go for Surging Strikes into Umbreon and go for a Moonblast. I mean, this Kyogre is doing no damage. The game's basically over. You'd have to double crit with Origin Pulse right now and have Protect on Umbreon, I think. And even with all of that, it's still pretty tough. They do have Helping Hand, but that's fine, right? Like, Umbreon and Tyranitar are the two Pokemon I need to knock out in this game because it paves the way for Calyrex to deal with the rest of the team. So, once again, you can see how much Dark-type Pokemon can be an issue to play against, right? They're just so good into Calyrex. But it's a testament to how well this team is composed that we can go up against all of these Dark-type Pokemon, Tyranitar, Umbreon, Incineroar, and still win the game. I hope this actually KOs. Okay, it should. Pretty close, though. Yeah, that was actually a little bit closer than I would have liked, but it's fine. Like, as soon as we got that special attack drop on Kyogre, I felt like this game was basically over, barring really crazy RNG. And they're actually, unfortunately, going to miss the Urshifu as well. But even if that double connected, you don't KO either Pokemon there. And even if you do, Calyrex at this point just clicks Expanding Force. So, yeah. Like I said, my opponent's win con was basically a ton of critical hits, and they needed Protect on the Umbreon. But without Protect, the game was essentially over. So, yeah. I kind of want to just go for... I mean, obviously it doesn't really matter. I'm going for Helping Hand because I want to see the animation. But I guess he might not have KO'd Kyogre, so it would have been better to just go for Strikes or Close Combat to guarantee the game ending quicker. Either way, Zolt not protecting turn 1 put us in really good shape, and then they didn't have any Fairy Resist, so we were able to expose that. Because, like, they had Amoonguss, obviously, but I'm not sure you really want to bring Amoonguss into a matchup with Lele and Calyrex, so we could use that to our advantage. But that was a pretty fast game, so let's look for one last one. Before we do, we can actually take a quick look at our opponent's team. So it was actually Choice Scarf Kyogre, AV Tyranitar. That makes a lot of sense. Life Orb Zapdos with Rain Dance. That's really cool. Choice Band Zolt. So very hyper offensive, but that worked out in our favor. Sitrus Umbreon. And the Umbreon did have Protect, so they actually did have a win con to play towards. Oh, not necessarily. Kyogre was locked. It was Scarf locked into Origin Pulse anyway, so there wasn't really too much they could do. And us having Tailwind was obviously just super good for us because they're so... That's a really interesting Amoonguss spread. Max special defense and defense. Makes sense because they have Sash. And you can just keep healing back up with Regenerator. But the lack of Protect really benefited us, right? Like, they didn't have Protect with 3 of the 4 Pokemon they brought, and then the one Pokemon that did have Protect, they didn't even use it in the end. So we take those, but let's look for one last one. Final game of the day, and it's against Trick Room with Calyrex-Ice stuff. Okay, so Scrafty is the main thing to watch out for. Ideally, we deny them Trick Room. We have Encore on Whimsicott, so that can be handy, but we have to be careful about getting trapped in against the Scrafty specifically. If I lead Lele Calyrex, they could switch something out. Maybe we could just sub. I do want to think this a lot through on the start, because if we can deny Trick Room, we should just win the game. Whimsicott is Encore, so that would be a reason to bring it. We can just Encore their Trick Room, but I'm nervous about Mentor on their Trick Room setters, or mainly Gothitelle. So I think I'm willing to go Lele Calyrex here, Entei in the back, and then Ditto as the last one. But I think there are a lot of different ways we could have played this out, so I'm not sure this is the absolute best, but we'll see. I think, yeah, Whimsicott just doesn't do anything other than Encore for us in this game, and I feel decent enough with Lele plus Calyrex. Like, Calyrex just does so much damage with Astral Barrage into both Trick Room setters, and Lele obviously covers for the Dark Weakness. They're going to go with Calyrex plus Tsareena. Okay. I mean, I don't see how they get around Astral Barrage plus Moonblast onto Calyrex turn 1. Unless Tsareena has like a Dark type attack here, which maybe it does. Does it get access to any strong Dark type attacks? That would be a problem if it does. To which I could Psyshock and Astral Barrage. I also don't know if Astral Barrage one-shots into Calyrex here. But I feel like the goal really should be to just deny Trick Room. So, yeah, I'm just going to Astral Barrage here and Moonblast into Calyrex. And I like Moonblast because it covers for a Scrafty switch out here. Yep, that's switching out. Okay, they go for Rillaboom. That's a great switch in. That is a great switch in. I like that a lot. And I actually should have anticipated that a little bit better. I don't think I would have changed my play, really, right? I guess I could have just gone Astral Barrage, Side Shock into Tsareena. They're probably Grassy Gliding here. Yeah, into Calyrex. Ooh, it's very good damage. That's because they're Life Orb. Wow. You know what? That's actually an amazing setup if they're AV Rillaboom. Because actually, even if they're not AV Rillaboom, it's an amazing setup. Because the thing is now, you bring in the Calyrex back in, and then you can just click Trick Room with it. Really nicely done. Okay. Life Orb Tsareena is also really cool. You typically see something like a Cell Vest here, but you can see how much damage Life Orb, puts out. I love that turn 1 play on their end, though. That's a really nice way to actually end up getting Trick Room. But I do have my Ditto, so I can just copy their Calyrex right now. I guess the awkward thing is Sitrus Berry not really being active. They're just going to Glide. We have Entei as well. So we can double switch. I'm down for that. I don't think there's much upside to conserving. Yeah. Let's just double switch right now. Ditto's been amazing for us today, though, so I'm really happy about it. But I think, yeah, in that last game, there just wasn't that much of a good argument for Ditto, so didn't feel great about bringing it. Either way, we're going to make the switches here. Okay. The other beautiful thing about Ditto is obviously not only do you get another restricted Pokemon often, but you can also scout out their moveset, which gives you so much information. It's one of my favorite things about this Pokemon. Okay, perfect. They glide into the Entei slot. Still so much damage. It's wild. And Trick Room. No, the Glacial Lance. Okay, even better. It's actually a really big deal, the Glacial Lance there, because now I just got Entei out, meaning I can just click Sacred Fire. Although, maybe Entei feigns from a Grassy Glide? I think we should survive just with a sliver of HP. Like, it's pretty darn close. Which I don't love. Okay, either way, though, I'm going to Sacred Fire here into Calyrex. Okay, so their moveset's Trick Room, Glacial. I guess the scary thing here is if you are Weakness Policy. We don't see a Life Orb. They're obviously not Assault Vest, so I think Weakness Policy is actually very likely here. I could also switch Entei out into Lele. Glacial Lance. I'm just really nervous about getting swept by Weakness Policy. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go into Lele here. I actually think there was a good argument to click Trick Room this turn. I could have won the game, potentially, if I read into their Trick Room. Actually, not necessarily, no. But the idea behind this play is I get Lele and I change the terrain, I get an attack boost with my Calyrex, and if their last one's Scrafty, I have Lele to deal with it. Nah, it's still not really a great game plan. Oh! Oh, that's perfect. That is so good for us, because now we get Lele in safely, meaning you can't even click Fake Out into Lele next turn with Scrafty. Okay, and they're just going for Grassy Glide. Perfect. Okay, that's excellent for us, because I just get a KO. I get chip damage on a Scrafty. This next turn is interesting. I basically, like, the thing I have to decide is whether or not I want to potentially read into Calyrex, because we could definitely still get fully swept by their Calyrex right now. The Calyrex just can snowball so quickly with Glacial Lance, so I have to be very careful about that. I think they have to Trick Room here, to be honest. The other question is, does your Scrafty have Protect? But I think here, I'm fine to just Moonblast the Scrafty and go for a Glacial Lance. If Scrafty doesn't have Protect, it should be over. Okay, they don't have Protect. Nice. So it's like, even if you Trick Room here, I can just protect my Lele and then reverse your Trick Room. It's a 4v1 at this point, so obviously the numbers advantage is in our favor. Okay. Even though this looked like a really dominant game, it's still pretty far from that. Like, each turn mattered a lot. And they Trick Room. Perfect. Okay, well, this next turn I can just protect and then reverse their Trick Room. I can also just attack, to be honest. What do we have in the back? Entei and Ditto. Okay, you know what? I'm honestly down to just protect and Glacial Lance. And the reason for this is because we just have so many Pokemon at this point. All we need is to get my Calyrex in safely, so all we need to do is just stall out Trick Room and Wood Protect. It's so easy to do that right now. Right, like this next turn, I can just switch the Lele out into Entei, sack the Entei, bring Lele back in, protect. They're going to quick Glacial Lance, that's fine. But that's the thing, like Calyrex and both Calyrex forms have so much snowball potential that you just want to be very careful, right? Like, I don't want to give this thing a single attack boost, because if it gets one, it can completely turn the tides of the battle around. So I'm just going to switch out into Entei Glacial Lance. At this point, we've stalled out enough turns of Trick Room where then we can just bring in Lele, protect, lose Lele, Calyrex comes out, Astral Barrage, GG. Ditto was amazing for us today, though, honestly. Like, it copied so many relevant Pokemon and gave us such huge advantages, so really happy about it. Nice. And we've been winning these speed ties as well, which is really sick. I don't even know if this KOs Entei. Let's see. I think Entei survives with just the Sliver, but beautiful. Beautiful. Doesn't get any better than that. Okay, double checking field state. 2 turns of Trick Room left. So we can't protect with Entei. That's fine. We have protect with both Pokemon in the back. I don't see any reason to not protect Calyrex here. What if they click Trick Room here? I mean, I don't think they can win at this point. I'm just trying to think if there's any way we can throw the game. Glacial Lance double KOs, but then I just protect with both Pokemon. I know your moveset, so we can just end this game 1 turn faster if we win a speed tie here, and even if we lose it, it's fine. And we managed to get it. Nice. For exactly enough PP with Calyrex. Nice. Yeah, the thing there is we knew Calyrex's moveset, so even if you knock out both Pokemon there and you win a speed tie, there's only 1 turn of Trick Room left, so I just double protect with Lele and Calyrex, and then just win the game with any attack basically at that point. So yeah, that was a really fun set of games though. Ditto was very, very impressive here. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this Ditto, and I think like so many people are used to seeing like Choice Scarf Ditto, but I love this Sitrus Berry set. It basically gives you a bulkier restricted Pokemon, and a bulky restricted Pokemon of any sort is always valuable, right? Just having 2 restricted Pokemon gives you a huge advantage if you're able to actually copy your opponent. So shout outs to Ditto in this one. But Calyrex, Lele, all put in a lot of work, as well as Whimsicott. So yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thanks so much as always for watching. Thanks to Inosh for the team. Check them out, linked in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoy. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.